Doom 2016 was a surprising game for me because I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I'm not the biggest first-person shooter aficionado, and the FPSs I do like typically follow a linear, puzzle-heavy approach over just straightforward moving and shooting. Having never played a Doom game before in my life, the 2016 game was a different experience for me, but one that I thoroughly enjoyed and that got me excited for its sequel, Doom Eternal. And while Eternal brings in new gameplay elements and cranks the difficulty up to 11, it's yet another fantastic shooter that brings the adrenaline-pumping action you've come to expect. Doom Eternal takes place sometime after Doom 2016, as the demons of hell have invaded Earth and begun to take over the planet. You once again take control of the Doomslayer as he gears up to save humanity from hell once and for all, against the wishes of his fellow Night Sentinels and the Makers, an alien race that believes the humans must be destroyed. While Doom 2016 had a story, it was mostly sidelined to codex entries and tidbits of exposition thrown into the game, but Eternal features more characters and cutscenes and puts more focus on establishing lore. It's basically another fight against the Legions of Hell plot, but the Doomslayer's journey reveals elements of his past and the universe of Doom beyond Earth and Hell. I can't say it's the most interesting story, but id Software knew where to put the most attention, as Eternal still focuses on gameplay and graphic brutality above everything else, which once again is amazing. Doom Eternal continues the same movement-heavy FPS action that Doom 2016 did so well, with some new weapons in your arsenal and plenty of new hell monsters to use them on. Doom 2016 had a good variety of enemies, but Eternal shatters that with over 25 monsters that you'll encounter throughout the game. These range from your typical demon fodder to more advanced and dangerous creatures, all of whom have their own capabilities, attack patterns, and weaknesses. While most of them can be dealt with by just pelting them with bullets, rockets, and energy beams, they're all incredibly fun to fight due to their different movesets and level of challenge. What Eternal excels at is making all of its enemies feel like they have a purpose in combat and aren't just fodder for the Doomslayer, even if some of them are labeled as such in-game. Smaller enemies are the best targets for the chainsaw or blood punches, giving you more health and ammo, while larger enemies provide their own type of challenge for each combat section. You may have heard about the infamous Marauder, who blocks your attacks and can't be harmed if you're either too close or too far away, meaning you need to keep him at mid-range, wait for him to attack, and then blast him. He breaks the flow of combat and forces you to take a strategic, patient approach rather than simply bombarding him with attacks, and while many have said he's frustrating, I actually think demons like the Doom Hunter and Pain Elemental are more annoying to fight. The battles are once again the highlight, as not only are they hectic, bloody, and engaging, they overcome their repetitiveness by highlighting the tension and high stakes of each fight. The Doomslayer is more than capable of taking demons down, but they're just as capable of slaughtering you, so you never get to become complacent. Another aspect that got more attention is the platforming, which, for better or worse, is a much bigger deal both in and out of combat. The Doomslayer will gain the ability to dash in any direction and climb up specific surfaces, giving him many more mobility options than before. This also opens up the level design for combat sections and facilitates more platforming challenges that you need to beat in order to proceed. I could take or leave the platforming, to be honest, since it doesn't mesh well enough with the rest of the game to be fully justified, but I love using the dash in combat to get away from enemies. It's the perfect way to provide players with defensive capabilities in addition to their powerful offense. Like Doom 2016, there are plenty of hidden collectibles that unlock bonus content or upgrades, many of which require some digging to find, especially since Eternal's levels are overall much bigger and more sprawling. Eternal is also heavier on puzzles, which I didn't enjoy mostly because my knack for looking for hidden areas meant I was often lost on what I needed to do to progress, which is a problem with myself rather than the game. That might not be the only thing stopping you from beating the game, however, because Doom Eternal is quite a difficult game. If you thought Doom 2016 was too hard, you might want to stay away from Eternal, because it ramps up the intensity and challenge of the game significantly. Mind you, it's mostly fair difficulty, and there's little I would call bullshit on, but it may detract people who can't meet what the game expects of you. I consider myself a below average player in terms of skill, and while I did beat this game on Hurt Me Plenty in a reasonable amount of time, it came with many deaths and several instances where I wanted to give up. I don't want to hold it against the game, as that was id's intention, but the difficulty is going to turn some people away. Eternal is meant to be hard, and I won't criticize it for being so. I just want to caution those that are worried about how approachable the game is. If you can get past the difficulty, you'll find a game that is incredibly absorbing, not just in its gameplay, but also its visuals and audio. Eternal is a great looking game, especially with its creature design, which is a significant step up from Doom 2016. The environments look amazing as well, and are more varied in design and setting, a big improvement from Doom 2016, which essentially only featured industrial sci-fi buildings or demonic landscapes. Mick Gordon returned to write the electronic-tinged heavy metal soundtrack, which perfectly complements the ruthless and intense action. Complementing this is the audio design, as the sound effects deliver the perfect impact, with hard-hitting weapon noises and crunchy, squishy gore effects that embody the brutality on screen in the best way possible. They make Doom Eternal not just a challenging game, but a mesmerizing, sometimes terrifying, and tremendously satisfying experience. It may seem like another simple shooter with intense violence and awesome weapons, but Doom Eternal is not only a more complex FPS game than its predecessor, but one that retains the spirit of the original Doom games while evolving in all the right areas. But through all the gameplay additions, new enemies, and expanded map design, the fundamentals of Doom Eternal are still a solid shooter that doesn't hold anything back from the player. I won't say that it's better than Doom 2016, because there's something to be said for that game's simplicity and tighter game flow, but Eternal brings so many new, fun features that it deserves to be respected. You'll enjoy it if you loved Doom 2016, though again, be prepared to deal with a whole new can of hurt, because while Eternal lets you rip and tear through hordes of demonic armies, you'll have to put up one hell of a fight.